Bro, we gotta do some controversial stuff to get you guys some views.
That's the goal. I think. Well, I'm not allowed to be controversial, and apparently my sense of humor is not good enough for Aaron now these days.
No.
I got a talking to from my boss.
No, we just don't want you interrupting our guests. That's all it is.
Well, I interrupt and I ask questions. Like, if you actually got off your ass and did some work once in a while, like I wouldn't have to do that.
I see how it's going.
You gotta do the podcast standing from now on. You gotta get off your ass, man.
I can't do that.
If I didn't have a laptop, I'd do it. Unfortunately, here I am sitting. So I guess we should start this thing officially.
Let's get
the Choking Hazard podcast. We're officially sponsored by. Should we announce the sponsors now or later, Aaron?
You can announce them now.
First things first. Well, I want to ask you, Mike, do you take any supplements? What kind of supplements do you take?
I'm not taking any supplements right now.
You're not taking anything right now. Well, if you ever decide, I would suggest getting some protein from CanadianProtein.com. You can use promo code CHOKE, get yourself 10% off.
Nice.
Unfortunately, the protein will not fix Aaron's receding hairline. But with that said, you're going to get some sick gains, 10% off. Use the promo code CHOKE on when you cash out, and you can save some money and help out the podcast and support it. We're also officially sponsored as of today by Project XGuard. So Raul, our boy Raul Chavez. We had a really good podcast of him. If you haven't given that a listen yet, go check that one out. He goes into like entire life story, like why Project XGuard, why he's the man he is today. He talks about like jiu-jitsu and how it's helped him, and he's trying to give back to the community and helping a lot of at-risk youth. So we're currently working with him. You can check him out on Instagram as well and give us a follow. And if you think jiu-jitsu can positively impact somebody in your lives, reach out to us and we'll get you connected with him.
He's the man.
He is the man. We have Michael Sheehan on tonight. The man, the myth, the legend. How are you doing tonight?
Chilling, man. Good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're good, man. I wanted to kind of talk with you because, like, I've been seeing all the stuff that you've been pushing out on social media lately, especially with private training, keeping things going with COVID-19, and then just keeping up the competition trail as much as you can. So I know you're probably trying to prep for something, but how have things been going so far?
Man, it's funny. I'm not actually really getting ready for any tournaments right now.
No.
No.
Are you retired like us?
Not retired, but like I'm not trying to quarantine for 2 weeks. I don't really see. I don't know. I'm not trying to do that. So I'm down to kind of take a little break from competing until this is all wrapped up. Make sure I can, get some new clientele for privates and make some money too. So that's all in the works. Still happening now. Voila, got a job.
Boa working. Well, you were working before, right? Like, were you working like behind the scenes, like teaching, like doing like teaching classes, helping out? Like, what were you doing before to kind of support yourself?
No, yeah, I was doing all that before, but now I have a full-time job as well.
So what are you doing full-time now?
So I'm working in the theatrical business. I mean, I guess it's the movie business. I'm working on movie sets, like in different departments, like paint or construction. Just moving stuff around and laboring basically, but it's a union gig and I get to see movie sets or TV show sets, and that's nice.
Is there any like behind the scenes, like anything that you've worked on that you're allowed to tell us about, or?
Yeah, so I've been working in this union for like maybe like 7 years, but it's like essentially the best part-time job you can get in Toronto, but it's part-time because you're only working as long as there's a show, or as long as the movie is like getting shot for, So the first thing I ever did was Suicide Squad. I got to work in the wardrobe department, and I got to see like all the costumes and see some of the, not the actors, but like the extras, like getting makeup on them and shit. So every once in a while I get to see some cool stuff, but for the most part it's nothing, there's no glory to it, man. It's just like a regular job.
Gotcha. Have you ever done like had to go like CineSpace up in like Etobicoke or kind of that North Toronto film studio at all, or? Yeah,
so the last 2 weeks, well, before this week, the last two I was in Kipling. So there's a studio up there. I think the main studios are like Pinewood Studios, kind of on the bottom of the DVP. But right now I'm in like East York, There's a feature film being shot there, some weird horror film.
Okay, excellent. So have you kind of like found time to still train, do these things, or are you just kind of sticking more with like just privates right now?
Mostly I'm doing privates. It's good because a lot of the private students I teach give me good training as well. And like I said, like there's no tournaments coming up for me, and especially with like a couple of recent incidents, I'm not really interested in like going balls to the wall training or risking getting the Roni or anything like that. So
The Roni.
I'm just
The Roni, that's a new one. I haven't heard that yet.
the
The
Roni
Roni.
Rona, bro.
So if you don't mind us like prying a little bit, like can you elaborate on like some of those incidences or like what's happened the last like few weeks?
I think everything you can see on like Josh's Facebook. A lot of what happened was basically we had an incident where one of the instructors works at a nightclub, and I think the nightclub had something where they may have had like a positive case that they didn't disclose. Then they worked like the next day, felt some symptoms, probably a couple of days after that, and got tested and was positive. So everything was shut down just to keep everybody safe, and thankfully it was contained. So good shit.
Yeah.
So what's the process? Because like let's be honest, like it was a matter of time before something like this happened. Like just based on people training, like jiu-jitsu, like you at the end of the day, like you're going to be interacting with people if you're
for sure.
training, right? So like what's the process with like kind of like isolating it? Like what do you do? Like how like action plan, like how do you
Me
nip this
personally,
thing?
or like, are you talking about trying to DJ?
A bit of both, actually. I just like to see, like, just to get ideas. Because, like, for example, like me and Aaron, like, we work in a big gym. We work in a big facility. And let's be honest, with hundreds of people going in and out of there in the day.
You never know what they're doing, eh? Like, they could be messing around, like clubbing or partying and stuff like that. I mean, I think, like, there's no real way to, like, minimize risk completely. But I think as far as it goes, like I think we can do our very best, and at least we should have some kind of regulation set, but they shouldn't be too strict because it's just incentivizing people to train privately or like train underground, and none of those guys are worrying about like their temperature, or like none of them are getting tested, none of them are sweating any of that shit. So like I think it's better to have it maybe a little looser at a gym rather than have people just in basements with no like air ventilation just going off. So
with like 20 people like just and some bolo basement just hanging out, training, shooting shit.
These guys are doing 2 days in basements, and it's not too nice.
Yeah, so you're almost saying it's like let the clubs open up, have regulations, and have people back training rather than having them shut down completely and then people just doing whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, barring any major like outbreaks, I think what we're doing so far and as a community in Ontario is pretty safe. And yeah, so I think like we should be able to train within a social bubble. I don't know what that number should be, like 4, 6, 8, 10. I have no idea. But these guys are doing it elsewhere or off hours at certain academies. I know Toronto DJ isn't really not like doing much of that at all. But it's happening. So wouldn't you rather have it happen where they can do some contact tracing and like make it more official? And if something should happen, you want someone that's willing to go to like Toronto Public Health Services instead of just like, fuck it, I'm gonna
fuck it, whatever these guys do. YOLO. I think you brought up a very important point. If you have, it's kind of like prohibition of like alcohol. I was even thinking of that. So it's like, okay, well, you can have a drink at like a, some unregulated place and know what's going on, or you can have, or, you can go to like, the gym that you always train at and go, hey, okay, like here's some like really basic rules. I want you to stick to a group of like, let's say like 4 people, you guys all train together. If like just train with each other just for the time being. And then from there, as this thing starts to die down more, then we can explore other options. I think that's the best way to honestly approach it right now.
Yeah, and there's still no like sport specific guidelines. I mean, tons of gyms are doing it different ways, and I don't think there's anything like too I don't even know personally. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's anything too cutting out there to like make sure it's like one way. So I know there's different interpretations of the guidelines in general, and gyms are operating in accordance to what they interpreted it like. So I don't know. Hopefully it continues to get better.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of people as well because I think I talked to Fernando, for example, like a while ago, and like he would talk to like Boa Fernando, shout out. So I talked to him, and it's frustrating, I think, as a gym owner going to like, let's say like Toronto Public Health, and like he would talk to 5 different people about, hey, like this is what I want to do to, regulate like opening the gym and everything, and then he would get 5 different answers.
Yeah.
So like,
I think the OJA or CJA or maybe both, I think they're working right now on getting something going, and hopefully loosening restrictions and stuff. So hopefully that happens, and then everyone can kind of be on the same page, because right now I think it's pretty, I mean, like no one's doing anything crazy, I don't think. But yeah, like everyone's kind of doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm. So obviously kind of like working and going on the movie sets, for example, is like, how are they doing it? Are they keeping you guys tested every day, or is it just kind of like
not daily?
Yeah.
And it is kind of different, like show to show. I was working on Handmaid's Tale, and they were testing us twice a week. I think like Monday and Thursday.
Okay.
And since there's such a high volume of people, like they would only call you if you're positive. So
Gotcha.
We had no positive cases on any of the shows I've been on, but it's just kind of freaky, like just waiting for a call, or knowing that if you got a call and it says Toronto Public Health, like you might just be fucked. But this second show is testing me once a week, and as far as like guidelines go, we have to fill out the Canadian COVID. There's an app, right? So we go on the app.
Yeah.
We fill out a self-assessment and submit that to whoever's working. They take our temperature, they look at the assessment, they write our name down, and we wear PPE all day.
Gotcha.
So not that bad.
How's that COVID test? Do you like it? Are you used to it now, or?
Man, it's not the deep one. It's pretty shallow.
Okay.
It's just the tip.
It's just
I'm not allowed to make those. I'm not allowed to make those jokes either. I got a talking to. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's just a light nasal probe. It's all, and
it's a light nasal probing.
Yeah. Sometimes the Q-tip is like extra thin and it tickles my nose hairs. I just cry like almost every time. I just water up. But you get that gentle touch, and it's something.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So like in your line of work, like you get tested pretty regularly. I wanted to ask you, like, is there anything that you've seen, like, just going back to jiu-jitsu, like, is there anything like regulation wise that you would like to see, like, I don't know, the government of Ontario, the government of Canada, or like even like local gyms, like anything else to help kind of either loosen restrictions, or just to like, hey, let's get back to what we're doing, but not be stupid about it either?
Man, I don't know. I think these questionnaires that the last 2 shows have had me fill out are pretty good. I think the Canada one, the COVID app, that self-assessment is pretty loose. It's like 4 questions: symptoms here, symptoms there. Did you get your temperature tested? Have you received results recently from a test? But the other show, the TV show, was like a private company's app, and it was pretty. I think it was like 10 questions that ask you if you've been in contact with anyone who got it, or different stuff like that. And as long as people are honest, I think that's a good move. I don't really know what else we can do, but yeah, like just being honest. And if you have been in contact with someone, or if you're experiencing symptoms, just be honest, and hopefully like your workplace and everyone understands. You won't like lose too much pain, if any at all, and we can bounce back. If you guys want to like hide everything and then like sneak around and act like you're healthy, God forbid you get your parents sick, or someone you care about sick, and they're not as healthy as you are. So just trying to be careful, I guess, honestly.
Mm-hmm. It's mostly the people in Brampton, I think. It's all them.
Those weddings.
I moved out. Like that place is a cesspool.
Where are you living now, bro?
I'm in Vaughan, man. I'm on the south side of 7.
Nice.
Shout out to the south side of 7. That's the dark side of Vaughan.
South 7.
Yeah. Vaughan's gonna get renamed soon, so it doesn't matter.
For It's gonna be
I don't know.
They're gonna rename it. I think they're gonna rename it to Woodbridge because like there's an area of Vaughan that they call Woodbridge. I think it's
So Mike, I wanted to talk to you. So like you just launched a new website.
Mhm.
So we saw it very briefly. It looked awesome.
MSheehanBJJ.com.
There you go. Right. It looks awesome. So tell me about it. Like, how did that come into fruition? How did you decide this is what I want to do? What's up?
Well, my sister, she built the site for me. She had experience building other websites, and her site's awesome as well. I think it's girlswhofight.com. So for her business of self-defense and women's self-defense, stuff like that, she built an amazing site, and she's learning about what's the term? Search engine something.
SEO, search engine optimization.
Yeah, optimization. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Been learning about that, and I always wanted to keep it looking like more and more professional as the clientele was growing. So I made sure to make it look nice, and I knew she was, getting a lot of knowledge on that because she'd spend a lot of time building her site and making it better and making it look really, really nice. And she just offered it. I think she offered it. I don't think I asked, but I was like, hell yeah! Like let's make a website and throw some stuff up there, and it's gonna end up being some pretty cool stuff. I have some cool ideas for it.
Okay. And how did you even like start getting into training jiu-jitsu? Like, how did that all start?
Man, I guess the first thing I did was Muay Thai, and I would see jiu-jitsu like after Muay Thai and thought it was just like ridiculous. And it was like a super small Muay Thai gym.
What's the name of that gym? Oh, sorry, I did something else that I wasn't allowed to do, and that's interrupt guests. What's the name of that gym? Give him a shout out.
You're canceled, bro. I'm gonna meet you. It was UMAC. So Greg King was teaching there at the time.
Oh, VVV, bro. Buy my V.
Yeah.
Oh, good strong grips, bro. You started under the legendary Greg King.
The legend, bro. It was actually good instruction for what level I was at, and he kept it fun. But anyways, it was a gym like 2-minute walk from my mom's house, and my sister had been bothering me nonstop to try it because I was like some pretty loudmouth kid, and I would get into not fights but like trouble. Like if people talk shit to me, I would talk right back. And my sister's like 2 years older, so I went to a high school where the group of guys that were her age kind of like to harass me and stuff like that. And now I'd always be like, talking shit back and standing up for myself. And eventually, I was visiting friends, I think, at another high school, and people tried to like jump me, and they didn't get anything. I didn't have anything worth it anyways. But after that, I was like, all right, like, fine, like let's see about this Muay Thai. So I did Muay Thai. I thought it was pretty cool, like, kicking people and stuff. That's fun for like a kid, like 15, I think I was. Then I saw like jiu-jitsu. These guys are in pajamas, like hip escaping, doing back rolls. I'm like, what kind of nonsense is this? Like, how could that possibly be effective? And then you had Greg in the mix too, and he's like, bro, come train, bro. You're gonna be good, bro. And I was like, oh my god,
got strong grips.
We're gonna do that ever. They're gonna be so good, bro. I don't know, just trying to fire me up, I guess. And eventually I tried it, and I still really didn't enjoy it for probably like the first 6 months. I was just kind of doing it because I thought I was gonna do MMA.
You're going to be a UFC fighter, bro. You're going to train UFC.
Yeah, UFC, bro, always.
Bro, UFC. You should come train some UFC, bro. Like, honestly, right now, I'd say pound for pound, the best Greg King impression is Ricardo Emanuel.
Oh, yeah. No, you had a good one.
I haven't heard it, actually.
Oh, you nailed it.
Mike, we lost you. Your audio went out.
He got canceled, finally. No more interrupting.
I know. No more interruptions.
Jamie, man. Where's Jamie? We need Jamie.
I don't know. Jamie's not here right now.
Jamie's in Texas.
Jamie.
This is the problem. Like when it's an individual stream, you have your own problems. So I can't fix it.
It's okay. We can edit that out, Maybe not.
Oh, yeah. That's why we don't do these live anymore.
I think we should leave that in. It makes it more raw.
Yeah, more raw. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ricardo has the Greg King accent down pat. You were saying?
Yes, he does. He is like probably the most spot on impression I've ever heard of him. He's like, bro, I'm still stuck on the 401. What's going on?
He's always talking about the fucking 401, bro.
It is, in his defense, it is one of the busiest highways in North America, so I will give him that. But, like you gotta
407 transponder?
When's he gonna realize it's like the number one busiest highway? Like that's just what it is, man.
Like he just needs to move closer to where he's gonna teach out of. Like that's all it is. Like I look forward to his rants every day about the 401, and I'm like, bro, just like fix a problem, like move closer, like so you don't have to go on the 401.
You don't get it, bro. You don't get it, bro.
So you started with Greg King. You just started in jiu-jitsu, and then like what kind of like your next steps there?
Okay, so after that, I was training. Like I said, I still didn't like it, and eventually there was like tournaments coming up, and I think it was like January, and I didn't feel ready or I didn't really want to, but there was like a raffle prize on Facebook for the first grappling industries in Toronto. So I threw my name in there and I got it. And I lost 10. It was round robin, right? I lost 10 out of 11 fights, bro.
Bro, I lost 10 out of 11.
I got my ass beat because I think it was also mixed belts. So I was fighting blue belts. And I fought one of my teammates at the time, Spencer Efford. He whooped me. Everybody whooped me. And then I think I got one win, and that fired me up. And then I was like, okay, there's more to it than, like back rolls and throwing your butt in the air, doing hip escapes. Let me see what's going on. And then I had to figure out a way to compete because I couldn't really afford to do much. And, my parents are separated. So whatever. Eventually, I think Greg made contact with Fernando. And Fernando kind of found a way for me and my sister to volunteer at a tournament, like scorekeeping, doing whatever we could, and then competing for free. And that probably lasted like years, honestly, but it lasted a couple of months for that period. And then I think Greg went and trained in like California or something. And I think
he was like deported for a while.
Yeah, dude, he didn't have his visa when he came.
Oh, that's what it was.
So he had to go home to Monaco, France, wherever the guy's from.
He had to go live on a yacht for a year.
It was up to his dad, I guess. Yeah, so he got out of here, and my sister and I were looking for a place to train. And I think we'd already done some open mats around, maybe mostly like MMA World and like stuff in the area. So we were looking at MMA World and Gringos. And my sister was trying to talk to them and say, like, listen, like, it's not a lot we can afford, but we're willing to, clean the mats or do whatever we have to do to, get our tuition. So I think Gringo's like, yeah, no problem, that's whatever. And that was kind of how it worked for a while. And Gringo was gracious enough to let me train for free. And I think he would almost give me rides home like every single day. And yeah, man, I remember just like going straight there after school, chilling with Gringo for an hour or two, doing the kids' class, training all night. And then just like, hey, this guy would be on Facebook until like 11 p.m. And I would just be like chilling in the lobby, like doing whatever I was doing. And then he would just drive me home. And, that was life for like, I don't even know how long. It must have been at least 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. But he would drive me home nearly every single day. And yeah, dude, it was really helpful.
Awesome. And that's when you were training at the North Toronto location?
Yeah. Pickering is like 2 years old, right? So.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Excellent. So what was that like? Because you remember you was talking about like MMA, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to be an MMA guy, and then you're doing jiu-jitsu. Like, what was that kind of whole transition? You're like, I ain't doing MMA. It's just like, was it?
So I did a couple Muay Thai fights. I did 2, but they were like smoker fights, like under the table, probably illegal. I did
most of them are.
I think it was definitely illegal, but I did my first one. I was 16, and I had no business doing that, and neither did the other guy, to be honest. But I think I ended up finishing it in the second round. The ref stopped it, which it's kind of weird because in these smoker fights, it goes 3 rounds and they raise both your arms. Like nobody wins.
Yeah.
So anyways, that fired me up, and I did like less than amateur, way less than amateur. And those were just the fights I could get. I didn't really sign up for fights in Ontario, like the Ontario Muay Thai Committee or the MMA Committee. But basically, I had like me, my sister, her boyfriend at the time, and his little brother. The four of us would just like train as much as we could, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu sometimes as well, and just trying to like make it happen. The two brothers, they fought MMA a bunch, and sorry about that. They were getting really, really good and training like super consistently. And I think when I started training, they were both blue belts, so they just beat the shit out of me. And having one of them be my sister's boyfriend, it just like fired me up to, you know, like really trying to take it to him every single time. And it was just wild, the sparring we did, you know? So eventually, when I started going to Gringos, I was still doing some boxing. And then eventually I was like, you know what, like I'm trying to do tournaments. I don't really need to do this unless I was okay. But I did like I did my second fight, right? And that one went 3 rounds, and obviously like we both got our hands raised, but my body was like mashed up. My shins killed, random parts of my body hurt. And I think I was like visiting my grandma after, and I'm just like walking there like all fucked up. And I'm like, dude, like nothing came of that. Zero came of that. Zero. I didn't make anything. I got zero exposure. I'll probably have a video at some point. And I feel like shit. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try that jiu-jitsu stuff.
What is the trade here?
Exactly.
Aaron's actually officially 1-0 as an amateur MMA fighter. So
yeah, so that one and done.
One and done, bro. Nice.
Aaron one and done. You had they had a secret underground fight card at the workplace that we are currently at several years ago, where Aaron almost killed somebody in the pool.
Basically, it was good. But again, we went 3 rounds, but then it was like my legs were destroyed after leg kicks, and I'm just like, I don't like this at all. And I'm just like, I remember doing a couple like hard training sessions at like Professor Shaw's up in like I think they were Laird and Spears at the time and whatever. And I don't know if he just had like Seiji and like Hammer just beat. They just beat the shit out of me. Yeah, and it was like they leg kicked me to death. And then we had competition training after, right? So I just stayed for a competition like jiu-jitsu training after. And the drive home's like in 45 minutes to an hour. And they're driving a stick at the time. I can't even drive properly. And by the time I get home, I'm like, get in my shower. I couldn't even stand in the shower because my legs were just destroyed. And I literally cried in the shower. And my wife's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Like, my legs are killing me.
Pretty wild, the stuff people do for like sports like this.
No. And that's the thing. I like never like jiu-jitsu. I've had injuries in jiu-jitsu, but like never like destroy my body type injuries.
The worst thing I had in jiu-jitsu, man, was 2018. First training back from Euros, I got a wicked concussion.
Oh,
we were doing George had us doing like flying armbar drills against seated guards. So you know how like Davi Ramos submitted Lucas Lepre in
in ADCC, like jumped over and he armbarred.
Yeah,
so
we were doing that.
That looks cool.
No, it was a good drill. It's a sick drill. So anyways, I'm doing it, you know, whatever. I'm rotating this way. I'm armbarring like this way. And I swear to God, the guy with the pointiest head in the room, he starts getting in my field, and you know, I'm just doing my thing. And I did my last armbar that before I got clocked. I'm going this way. The other guy's going this way, and the top of his head hit the back of my head. Just nuts. And then I'm like, okay, I'm on the ground. And George is like, you're okay, right? You're good. Like trying to help me, like, you know, laugh it off. And I was trying to do it too. I like sat on the wall. I'm like, dude, like that was hard. Like we're laughing about it. And then all of a sudden, like things just started mixing up. And I was like, okay, I can't see. Holy shit, I can't see. And a friend of mine ran into the hospital. Nothing serious happened. 2 weeks later, I competed and everything was fine.
Just walked it off, you know, no big deal.
I was sensitive to light for a long time after, but I think that's a pretty solid recovery. I had some help recovering and not too bad.
Yeah, no, that's good, right? Like you have some guys who get concussions and then they're out for like a week and a half or two, like they can't do anything.
Dude, right? I have another crazy story. So about like the four of us, like I said, my sister, her boyfriend at the time, his little brother and I. So after I kind of left MMA and Muay Thai and stuff, that gym dissolved. Like I said, UMAC went under, I guess, and they just kind of dissolved. And the two brothers, I think, maybe just the younger brother, because he was still trying to like do MMA and do kickboxing matches and stuff like that. So he was fighting every single weekend. He started training at Bazooka Joe's, and one day in training, man, some dickhead fucking dropped him with a head kick, out cold, from a head kick in training on like team sparring. And the dude, fuck man, I think he was unable to like read or like use a phone or like do any of stuff like that for like a couple of years solid.
Oh wow.
I see his older brother, and he actually works at the same gym as me now, so I see him like almost every day. My sister's ex, and we're cool. It's all good. Like, he's a great guy, but only recently I was able to like be like, bro, like, how's your brother doing? And apparently he's doing a little bit better. He's able to get out there a little bit and get back to normal life. But for literally years, man, he was fucked up from some idiot.
Yeah, that's messed up. Like, you got to be careful with like how you train. Like, there's only so many times, like, especially with like Muay Thai, there's only so many times you can get hit in the head. Like,
yeah, man.
Like, I've had a lot. Like, fortunately, like, I haven't had a concussion. That's probably one thing I don't want to experience, because there's you got off. I think you're pretty lucky, and you had a pretty cool like recovery.
Sure.
But some people are really like messed up. Like one person from our school, Andrew, he basically, what happened to him, like, he hit his head on the roof one day. Like, he just like stood up like too fast. He's a taller guy. Oh, Andrew DiCarlo. So shout out
in the gym.
No, not even at the gym, just at his house. Like,
okay, I was gonna say,
there's like a low like stair or something. Hit his head, and he's like, what the hell? Like, he hit his head, and he like, it hurt, and then like an hour later, he's like going to bed, and he was telling me, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, and then he turns over, and the whole like room just starts like swimming, like
wow.
He can't see, he feels like he's gonna throw up, and he's like that for like a year.
Yeah, it's wild what they do to people. Really wild. And Muay Thai, you're right, like, it's so different. The ego, I guess it's like, the ego that you can experience in Muay Thai is totally different from Jiu-Jitsu, because like, you tap, you're over, maybe he holds it, maybe he pops your elbow, but like, dude, Muay Thai or MMA, like, you punch someone kind of hard, they punch you kind of hard, you punch them harder, they punch you harder, you're swinging for the fences before you know it, and you have no idea what kind of like undisclosed concussions you may have from that. So I think a lot of what Spencer had was just like fighting way too much every single weekend, not checking up on his health, and that was just it for him. That was the tip of the iceberg, I guess, to fuck him up. And then my sister ended up stopping competing in MMA. She did like 5 or 6 amateur fights, and she got her brain scanned. I think the UFC requires all athletes to do it, so she just decided to do it. And it showed like a lot of white matter or something. So apparently they won't let you fight if you have a lot of that stuff. I don't know the rules well, could be wrong, but they're like, yo, like, you should stop doing that stuff. So she did.
Yeah, there's only so many times you get clicked, and that's it. I think you see all these fighters, right? Once they get that big knockout, they're just never the same, right? They're either worried about getting knocked out, or they just
who's
get
gonna win?
out.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but who's gonna win today?
No.
Yeah.
I think Arsandin got
This
it.
Mike's allowed to interrupt people, not me. Okay, I see how it is.
Mike is. He's the guest, so it's fine.
There
Who's
you
your pick?
man, I think Israel's gonna win. I think so. I don't know though. It's tough, dude.
It's
I mean,
a
after
tough
the-
one. I want to know how Paulo Costa got past a drug test. That's how I want to know.
Those Brazilian doctors, man.
There's a lot of acai. No,
Stopper's drug mart.
acai.
You just get bomba, no problem. Over here, like, nobody knows what they're doing, anyways. So they're bound to get caught.
Michael, have you been to Brazil?
Never. I want to go there.
I don't know. I've heard stories about like you can walk into like the equivalent of like I have to confirm.
Yeah.
What's that?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can go anywhere and just be like, yo, bomba, and they're like, yeah. This kind. Here you go. $20.
It's like, here's some acai. You're all set. But I think think Israel's standing has a lot more tools. I was talking about this with Aaron. I think he has a lot more tools in his arsenal striking wise versus Paulo. I think he's more like a big puncher. Versus, I would say like Paulo probably has a little bit more experience on the ground versus Israel has a lot more like an extensive like kickboxing experience. So I think in theory, if Israel keeps it standing, I think he wins probably like a 5-round decision. That's probably my official pick. I don't know, Aaron, what do you think?
That's my think. I think Israel can keep it standing. He'll pick them apart because Paulo Costa is going to try and rush him, push him up against the fence, try and batter him up. But he throws like bombs every time. So if he clips him, anything could happen. I just think Israel's a little too smart for that. So he's going to move around. He's going to stay off the fence. And he's just going to – but again, if it goes to the ground, I just don't know. I don't know enough about Israel's ground game or like how his defense is. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think he could finish him late. Israel could like finish him late, or Paulo could just like clip him and just knock him down and maybe submit him on the ground or something earlier. I don't know. I think it's kind of the same or similar to who did he finish like late? Was it not Kelvin? It was after that. Robert Whitaker?
Oh.
Was it Whitaker?
Well, he did finish Whitaker, yeah. But did he finish him like in the 3rd round or 4th round?
Yeah. He went down and he like shot that. He did that shit.
Yeah, he was like moving backwards, and it was like these hooks, and he clipped him with the hook, and then Whitaker went backwards, and then he finished him on the ground. But yeah, it should be a good fight though. Like I like how they're doing the Fight Island.
The card's stacked, no?
It's a good card.
It is.
Israel. I'm gonna pull it up. I'll be Jamie. All right, boys.
You be Jamie right now.
Be Jamie.
But I know they're doing Dominic Reyes is fighting.
Oh yeah.
Fighting the Polish guy today. That's for the light heavyweight.
Yeah, I forgot his name too.
So Israel stopped. Yeah, he stopped Robert Whitaker in the 3rd round.
3rd round.
Yoel Romero, he took a 5-round decision. I don't know, like they're both undefeated. Paulo Costa's tough as well. I don't know. I don't see Israel stopping him, but we'll see.
Okay, I got it.
Maybe like a late round stoppage, like in the 4th or the 5th round,
that's what I would say.
Like accumulating damage over rounds.
So you got Dom Reyes and Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah.
I would say Dom, but that Polish dude's fucking jacked, man. He's huge, and he's going on a tear. But then you have I'm looking down. You see women's bantamweight. We have Sajara Eubanks from.
Hey, shout out to Sarge.
Formerly CLI. Yeah, she's fighting.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know who she's fighting though. I don't know the name. But yeah, that's about it. It doesn't look like a huge card, but the 2 mains are pretty far.
Well, I'm curious to see when Gaethje and Khabib go. That's going to be end of next month, I think. So that's coming up.
Chandler's in the mix now, which is really awesome too. That guy's a savage. Michael Chandler.
Ooh, yeah, he's in the mix now.
Pretty sick.
He is.
Yeah, no, he is definitely sick. I think they're trying to pit him up against Tony Ferguson.
Fuck, I love Ferguson, man, but that last fight was fucked, man. He was just getting eaten alive by Gaethje.
He wasn't somebody who was going to quit either. Like he would have died in there if he.
Yeah, he would have died for sure, or at least like in the hospital. He's fucked. He's a zombie.
Yeah, no. I'm thinking with Khabib and Gaethje. Who do you think, Mike?
Khabib.
And I think probably Khabib, just like everybody else. But I think Gaethje stands a better chance than most people. Khabib's fought recently. Because he's a pretty good defensive wrestler, right? So maybe. Plus, he looked outstanding against Tony, but fuck, Khabib is Khabib.
What do you think makes Khabib just – how good is he? Like, what's your kind of take on him?
Wrestling bears, bro. As a young boy, what was he, like 7, 8, or 9? Tussling with a little bear.
Yeah.
Just having a dad in a sport like that, like raising you with a sport like that, raising you probably with a mindset to compete in a sport like that. Having your dad in your corner, like that voice in your head constantly. Think about like Cus D'Amato for Mike Tyson, but if Cus was Mike's dad and that kind of role model from like young, I think it's just a matter of the self-belief that his dad instilled in him when he was a boy, and that's just a matter of like what it grew into now.
I think he's also just so mentally tough. That's what separates him from like he's just somebody you can't mentally crack.
Yeah, just smash this guy.
Well, new interesting news. Conor McGregor is officially fighting Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, that's official? Really?
Apparently it's official. It's on his Twitter page. Manny Pacquiao said it's happening. So
that's actually sick. He didn't do that bad against Mayweather. First couple rounds were all right. He clocked him a few times. That was about it. But
Manny Pacquiao is just so small. Like he's shorter than Mayweather. So it's going to be like, I don't know.
It'll just be sick to see Conor suit up for boxing again. That last fight had all the hype. I don't think there's going to be that much trash talking because Manny's just like super nice. But you never know. Maybe he'll do it for the money. So we'll see.
I think Manny wants to do it to. I think he wants to raise money for COVID relief in the Philippines.
Yeah,
he's doing it for good, and he's gonna be donating like a big chunk.
So yeah, Conor can't say anything.
Yeah, so he can. But then I think they're both probably gonna be doing the same thing. Like they're both gonna make easily like a couple $100 million each off of this.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
This is where jiu-jitsu needs to go, guys.
So Mike, so especially like obviously. Because we're talking like in the pro level as far as like jiu-jitsu goes, what's your kind of take as far as like bringing like pro cards to like Canada? You for it? You against it? You're kind of like, hey man, I'm just in the traditional format.
I'm all for it, bro. I think there should be cash tournaments, cash events. There should be ways to come to the athletes. I remember I was doing like ground games events, and I think even like it's a blue belt. I think Pat might have given me like $200 for a match, and then I don't know if I got paid after that on his shows, but they deserve money, man. We all deserve money if we're doing a sport like this on a professional basis. This is like the most professional amateur sport out there as far as like compensation goes. Of course, it's like considered amateur. You have $10,000 kumites now, which is awesome, but that's like the lowest tier UFC fighter pay. You know what I mean? And I guess the viewership's not there. The fan base isn't quite there yet. So people are playing with different formats, like make it interesting and make people want to see it. But I think Ontario is just like conquer the politics and just try and make some cool events and do some cool stuff and come together to pay everybody, get everybody paid.
That's the one thing I want to. Like, I don't see why there can't be like an amateur tier. Like, you have your grassroots tournaments that are like all like they're with the local scene. You have white belts and blue belts who want to go out and compete and get experience. Like you mentioned even earlier, like Grappling Industries, like is a perfect example of that. Where your first tournament, you went and competed as a white belt, and you got like 10, 11 matches. Like, sure,
that was awesome.
You lost most of them, but at the same time, like you got a ton of experience from that. So. So from like my question, I guess, as well, and just like, open this up to everybody. So like when would you separate like, okay, like this versus a blue belt amateur or a blue belt getting paid pro? Like what's kind of like the separation between the two?
I don't know, man. I think it's tough to answer because there's so many different factors nowadays, especially with like social media and like the influencer status that people are trying to attain nowadays. At a certain point, like people like that could be compensated based on what they could offer or how many tickets they could sell. I know Fight to Win does something similar to that. Like if you sell a bunch of tickets, you get a portion of the tickets. That could be cool. I mean, I know there's a fight thing in Ontario recently, but I know someone who's fought there a couple times and never been paid once. And it's like, cool, you get a rash guard, you get like some shorts. Well, you got to pay the man because I don't know how like what your expenses are, but $100, $200, a couple $100, or a portion of ticket sales, like at least incentivize him to support your show. Like you say, bring 5 athletes and get some ticket sales, like a percentage. There you go. The guy's gonna try his hardest to sell 5 tickets, 10 tickets, get some money out of it, and make it worth his while. But as far as like your question, man, I don't know. I guess a lot of it is in the results. Like you have someone like Shaq or something like as a blue belt, just like 15 years old, green belt even, just running through adult divisions, like basically no problem. Kids like that should have opportunities to compete. I know there's a kid in Texas. I think his name is like Andrew Tackett. He's young. He's like 16. But Third Coast Grappling has given him opportunities to fight like multiple dudes in a night, like back to back, and just tried to make kind of like a show out of the kid. Like this kid is talented, and he has the potential. And so they're putting him on the show. I'm sure he's getting compensated somehow, as he definitely should be. But there should definitely be something like that for Ontario. It's not just about like, oh, here's a cool new fight promotion. Let's all promote the promotion. If the promotion's not giving back, I don't really see an incentive to, like put your body or like mess up your schedule, mess up your tournament schedule. Maybe you're training for an event 2 weeks from now, and that super fight show is in 1 week. Why would you spend like a couple days resting for an event that's not paying you when you might fight at another tournament that's not paying you, but it's for a legitimate prestige, like a Worlds or a Pans or something that could result in getting you paid through privates or potentially sponsors or whatever it might be, So basically, I think if it's like a smaller tier kind of local thing, they've got to find a way to really incentivize competitors. Like Ontario Open, they do a great job. They make sure to incentivize people to compete on a basis of trips to the Worlds. And then even if, like, for example, I think 2017 or something, I won a trip. 2017, yeah, it was. And I was training for Worlds after, and I got bursitis in my elbow. I was just doing like back steps, smashing my elbow off the ground. Eventually, it like built up. I had a bubble on my elbow, and it got stabbed inside the bursitis because the doctors drained it and like, yo, if we put a needle in, there's a chance of infection. Whatever, no problem. I'll go train. So I did jiu-jitsu with a hole in the bursitis in my elbow, and I did it in the worst way. I put like a brace under my gi, I put my gi over, and I put a brace over my gi so that people could see I had an injured elbow. Like that's my bad arm. And then I would just kind of like try and use it like sparingly. But anyways, it was mashed up. I couldn't end up competing. And they cashed out the trip for me. They gave me like $800, I think maybe $800, $1,000 cash, and that was huge for me. That was money, bro. For someone like me, like training, competing full time, that was super helpful. So you're covered. Like either you're getting a trip to Worlds, or if you choose to, or if you want to, or for whatever reason you can't go, then you'll still be compensated for your work. And I think that's the most important thing. Like exposure is kind of redundant. Like at this point, you can get yourself exposure. If you aren't scared to put yourself out on Instagram or act like a human being rather than just like try and post cool stuff, you'll get yourself exposure and people will start like listening in, they'll see what you're up to and start respecting it. But tournaments that are just like, yeah, dude, I mean, unless you're the IBJJF or something like that, there's really no exposure given. I mean, unless you accumulate over time.
Funny because it's when you're talking about like because in a lot of different professions, like my wife does a lot of like graphic design work, and a lot of times they're like, oh yeah, can you help me out, like design this and do this and that, we'll give you so much exposure and this and that. It's like, oh, that's great because exposure like pays my bills.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Yeah, I've been working with a couple of different graphic designers actually for a little project I'm cooking up, and I'm paying them all. Either I'm paying them or I issued out a deal with them. So percentage of sales, they'll get half. Or some of the guys are already private students of mine, whether they're helping me like build a website or like whatever it could be, they're maybe I'll do a free lesson for them. There's an exchange happening that they see as value. And like having did this, like I paid my sister for the website she built. Like there's no point doing something for free unless you really see the value in what you could get, as in like a tournament title or something that will feel like an accomplishment. Some super fight show that doesn't really offer much or whatever. They could be doing anything besides paying you. Like it's like, okay, why am I going to do that? Give me a couple good reasons, and then we can talk. So I don't know.
That's something I've always wanted to do. Actually, is like I wanted to do like either some sort of show and like have almost like what the NBA or like just as like a model, like for example, like the NBA or the NFL, they have like a profit sharing model or something. So it's like the high level, like professional jiu-jitsu people. It's like, okay, like if you guys can draw, you guys can make money, you guys get a cut of like the profits of what you're making.
Yeah, exactly. I think as a community, like there's probably a low chance, but there's a chance like you could gather some of the bigger figures and be like, dude, like how can we make this work for athletes so that like 5 or 10 years even from now, maybe we could support a young athlete with talent who wants to compete on an international stage. You know, like going to like Abu Dhabi and Colombia and Sweden to represent Canada the last 3 years. Dude, it's so mind blowing the amount of support these athletes are getting from their country. For example, talking to some Israeli athletes, you know, hashing it out, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, you wanted to come to Israel? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Cool, let's go to Israel. He's like, okay, the country will pay me $1,000 a month if I finish top 5 in this division for this event. And not only that, they'll also allow me to fly in a training partner to train with me for a couple of months. And I was like, what? And then sure enough, you see like kids from like Cicero going to Israel, and these kids are getting supported while they're in Israel. And not only that, but the athletes who finish like 5th in the tournament, don't even get a medal, are getting monetary sponsorship through I don't know, federal organizations, or at least some kind of like municipal organization. And that just blew my mind. I was like, how on earth, why don't we have that going on? Like, what is in the way? Is it politics? Is it like, what's going on? How do we fucking make this happen? And like, if there's money sitting in the bank, how, like who, what? I'm just confused, man. It just like blew my mind. It's inaccessible to.
How do we get Michael Sheehan competing on the world stage with Canadian CERB money? This is what we do.
No, I'm sure you do have some guys doing like surf fraud because they're too broke to do anything right now. For some jiu-jitsu guys.
This podcast is also sponsored by CERB for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but I think you made a good point, right? Because also like, I think it gets bigger though. But even if you look at our own Canadian Olympic athletes, and even like in our national sports and all that kind of stuff,
pretty embarrassing, man. I think it's pretty embarrassing.
It is. No, I agree with you, right? Because you got so many people that are actually leaving Canadian teams because they're like, oh, I can't make it, or I can't afford to do it, because then they'll get citizenship at their grandparents wherever, because they can get citizenship. So if let's say you're second generation Polish, for example, you could get a Polish citizenship and go compete on the Polish national team, and then they could pay for a bunch of different things because it'd be easier for you to get on a team. I mean, you could fact check me on that, but it does happen. I know it does
happen. No, I think a wrestler from the States, pretty popular. I don't know his name though. Maybe not Nick Soriano, but some wrestler. I think he just switched from Team USA to Italy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to get a guaranteed spot on the Olympic team, or a chance to fight in the Olympics, and probably some monetary help too. I don't know. Yeah. It's seriously embarrassing, if you ask me.
I agree. So, I mean, you never know. Like, it might be one of those things eventually down the road, but I think it goes deeper, right? And I think it goes past just individuals on a podcast to talk about it. But
For sure it does. For sure it does.
You got to go into like,
there's
ways. You got to start the conversation, and then you got to go after the people that are in charge of all those different issues, right? And it's more the OJA, and then it's the Canadian Jiu-Jitsu Association. And are they actually?
We need to go to the OJA and ask for our CERB.
Can you get a CJJRB, please?
Like, Tony, hit me up.
No, honestly, with the last few years going to the different countries to represent Canada, it was really, really amazing. And the support they gave us for those events was huge. You know, obviously we couldn't have really done it without that support. And I think maybe Elliot, Vayev, or a couple other guys probably as well. They ended up doing some kind of seminar or some kind of thing to raise funds to support the athletes. You know, and that helps a lot too. So, I mean, could you imagine a company like a t-shirt brand or whatever kind of company that could incorporate setting money aside for supporting the Canadian athlete, or at least like for a specific event, whether it's like that JJIF event, we vouched to sponsor 3 athletes, whatever, like pay, like the money they won't make since they're going to this tournament, we'll cover that, whatever that amount is, or we'll help them with their flight, or we'll give them half the flight's amount, just whatever it is. And it'll really not only help the athletes or incentivize people to actually go try to make the team, but I'm sure a lot of people would probably support that brand a lot more afterwards, knowing that they're supporting people out there who need it.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever's gonna help people like get supported, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But I wanted to ask you one last thing. So when you look at like your overall grappling career so far, even though you're not competing right now, but what's kind of like the highlight of your competition career right now for yourself? What would you say?
There's a couple. I don't know. I don't think I can name one, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think going to represent Canada probably meant the most to me. And then some of the more initial things I did, like when I wasn't quite sure of myself, or I knew I was training hard, and like winning like Nogi Worlds really meant a lot to me, because I was just like freaking out in the bullpen, bro. I was like literally rocking back and forth, like 6 more fights, 5 more fights. Dude, it was insane, the rush it gave me, and that was probably like the most, I don't know, glory I might have felt just having accomplished that. And then aside from that, man, I think representing Canada, stuff like that, stuff for the country, and I don't know, I can't think of much else. Being able to travel is a blessing through the sport. Representing Canada is even better for me. I'm not really for the nonsense. Like, I love supporting the team I train at and I'm with, but I don't really like the whole like us against them or whatever it is. You know, it's like, why don't we just all try our best to come together? And it's not even like team versus team. It could be a couple different people within the same team gunning for each other or something like that. And really, if everyone just came together in each individual aspect as a whole, we'd probably be so much further in Ontario for jiu-jitsu if we had some cross-training programs from whatever it was, you know. So anyways, I think like probably some of the best was representing Canada, going over there and putting Canada's patch on my back, winning a couple events like Pans and Nogi Worlds and Nogi Pans, and then Euros silver was cool too. Sucks with the silver, but you know, that was fun.
Aaron's sleeping over there. I think he's stuck there. Go. Are you alive, Aaron?
Respect, bro.
Sleeping.
No respect.
One thing I wanted to ask you actually is, you were talking about like, you know, like people coming together and there being a lot more cross training. You've trained at a couple gyms before, and what's kind of your take on that, on the whole mentality of like, you're even saying like, you know, it's us versus them, or like, okay, we're only going to stick and train with like our group of people, or that, like, what's your whole take on that?
This guy's actually sleeping. Wow.
That's the most important part of this podcast, and Aaron just decides to completely.
No, that's funny.
You see what I have to deal with here? Jeez.
Wow, dude.
and he creaunched the podcast on top of that.
I'm the host now. Look at me. I'm the host now.
I am the host, bro. I'm still stuck on the 401. What's going on?
Yeah, man. I understand it. I think I understand it pretty well. The notion that a team may think that what they're doing is more valuable or better, or they have their own techniques, their own like private stuff they don't want to share. They could potentially fight the guys in the other team. They could like, there's a huge list of like what might be going on. You know, there could be like more subtle issues that might not even involve jiu-jitsu. But same deal. Like if you settle that shit aside, and you're just able to say, yo, man, if we fight, we fight. It is what it is. Like hopefully we can still continue to train together and be on friendly terms after. Then it's great. But sometimes, like people are all about that, but they're still trying to like rip your head off in training and actually trying to hurt you. And there just has to be a certain, unspoken agreement, or a spoken agreement, probably better. And like, dude, if we fight, we fight. But overall, what we're here to do is get really good training and push each other hard and make sure we're healthy for tournaments. So I guess like it's just about, I don't know, an understanding between everybody.
That's the big thing. I think also like if you notice like in judo, there's a lot more cross training in judo, for example, than I think there is even like, and it depends on, I think, the culture of like a jiu-jitsu school. Like I think me and Aaron have been like pretty open-minded with like when we've been teaching, it's like, hey, like, there's a seminar with this person, I think you should go. Like, you don't have
exactly.
You don't have to ask for our permission to go to like a Michael Sheehan seminar and be like, dude,
it's so ridiculous, man. I know people who are pretty low key. They're one of those like quiet blue belts that you see training and you know who he is. He comes all the time, but he doesn't speak much. And I know he pays a couple different memberships at a couple different gyms. And he's talked to me about it. And he's like, I don't know, like if they find out or if I compete and I have the other team on my back and this and that. I'm like, dude, you pay them. You give them your money for a service that they give you. How on earth are they going to get angry at you for doing what you want and, like getting your money worth somewhere else? You're paying for a tournament. You're paying this guy. You're paying that guy. Why are those guys being upset? How can they possibly be upset? And it's like, oh, I invested all this time and I told him my secret techniques. It's like, dude, like, why don't you tell everyone your secret techniques and maybe you'll get a couple more private lessons and you'll be fine. But even with private lessons as an instructor, I get to hear a lot of like different stories from different academies of people considering like going to a different gym or considering like not doing this or not doing that based on politics or, maybe not even trying to be consistent in privates with me despite wanting to for other reasons, like involving those silly politics. And it just gets in the way so much. And it's honestly childish, I think. There's like an old school mentality to it of like, this our way, this your way, we're gonna fight, and I think that died like as soon as social media put us in a space where you can get access to basically anything anyone else is doing, or almost every move you can see. There's very limited secret moves nowadays because if it's happening at a major event, people are watching it, people are studying it, and eventually someone's going to catch on in a random country that has nothing to do with you. So why hide that from people who you may or may not fight, who may or may not beat you because you showed it to them? Why are you so paranoid? Like, let's just hash it out, get all out there, and make sure that we're on good terms. And I guess the other side of that is making sure that if you're on that kind of agreement with somebody, that they understand, like, I don't know, like some kind of credit. Like, oh, I learned this from this guy over here, and he showed it to me. I think it's a really cool move. And I try to give credit to people for like what they taught me. And I think that's a way of like paying it back. Like you don't have to be like, here's my move. I invented this and it was great. So I don't know how I'm doing for so long.
You sound like Borat right now.
Maybe I have the roadie.
Sexy time.
But yeah, just making sure like you keep everything as professional as possible while remaining like with the understanding that like, dude, like it's really not that serious. It's not that serious. If you show me a move and I beat you because of it, then like deal with it. Or if you show me a move and I show you a counter that I create, whether in a fight or in training, then you learn another move. And it's like, dude, like why don't you just try and expand your jiu-jitsu instead of worry about who you may or may not fight?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, honestly, like I've trained at a lot of different gyms, and at the end of the day, like you're gonna represent like your team or whoever it is when you go compete at like PANS, Worlds, or big tournaments, or even like on an even bigger scale, like the JJIF tournaments where you're competing for your country, right? So in that case, like I don't think there's anything wrong with, you're going to different gyms. Everybody's learning from each other. But like when it comes to like maybe like a big tournament like Ontario Open, Pans, Worlds, or like whatever the case may be, there's nothing wrong with, okay, like we're gonna train a little bit with my team the next few weeks. We're gonna strategize and win this thing. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, like why can't everybody be open and train with each other? Because at the end of the day, if everybody's getting better and the level's getting higher, that's when you're going to see more money in the sport for Canada, more money locally for people, more opportunities for people locally. I think it all goes hand in hand. That's the way I see it, at least.
Yeah, dude, you mentioned the JJIF and stuff like that. Like once you get there, you're training with everybody anyways. You're all in the same room anyways. You're going to get asked to roll by someone like a weight class above or below you anyways. So, like, why can't you deal with that sooner? So at least you know the guy a bit more personally, and you can trust that he's not going to try and just like mash you up and hurt you or something like that. Develop a relationship and move forward. And if it's like a local Ontario Open type event and your team's concerned with winning the event and they think, Briar's Gym is going to steal all your tech and show it and release it, fine. You can shut your doors for a few weeks or whatever. But I don't know. I remember a time like 5 years ago, probably now, when before Worlds, man, like there was like public posts, like 3, 4, 5 years, not even 3, probably 4, 5, and 6 years ago. There were like consistent, not only open mats weekly at different academies that were absolutely amazing for me personally, like being able to train with Dynas as a white belt, just getting my ass mopped around the mats was great. And then other tournaments, not tournaments, but other training sessions that I don't even think I even went to, but just heard about, like people all around Ontario being like, yo, dude, Saturday, whatever, April 21st, we're all going to gather and head to this gym. And if you're getting ready for Worlds, you're more than welcome to come. We're all going to help each other out, and it's basically going to be like an open mat. And it's okay, like sick, like count me in, let's do it right now. But nowadays, I don't know. I'm not seeing a whole lot of like publication of that sort of thing. Maybe I'm just out of the loop. But I just wish there was a bit more.
I think so too. I used to actually see a lot of those like more in like my blue belt days, like 20 years ago when I was
training. Yeah.
There was a lot more of those like I remember I think things were a lot more open then, and I don't know what happened the last few years, but I think it's time to get back to that, and it's only going to help everybody get better.
Yeah, so. And Canadian athletes in Canada, man, like you see a lot of kids now, younger kids. Good kids. Like we had Lucas Beavis in Toronto for a bit. Kids in San Diego now. You have like, I don't know, whoever else. These kids like who might just end up going over there anyways, because San Diego is practically the place to go if you want to do jiu-jitsu and have access to training and tournaments.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's sick. It's amazing. But if we get to that point where we're at a level where everyone's sharing their jiu-jitsu. No one is trying to prove themselves in a way that's like getting people injured or risking injury. And, you can go and hop into like a gym on a Saturday that fits your schedule based on your work or your lifestyle better than the one you train at home, instead of doing like nothing and just being like, okay, like, fuck, there goes a day. I should have trained, but I couldn't. So there you go. Then again, like, we're just incentivizing Canadian growth. And, I think that's what everybody wants to see, but I'm not. I don't know. I think we can do better.
Well, what I was gonna say is what I'll say is some voters might not like what I'm about to say, but because it's that old school mentality of my school, I don't want to have it. And to tell you the truth, this sport isn't gonna grow when these guys are still thinking that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. So and like I said, people are already like doing that. They're already either meeting up at their houses and especially now, obviously training underground, or they're just not telling the other gym. Like I know dudes. Actually, I'm not going to name names or gyms.
No names, right?
No, yeah, no names for sure. But I was going to name gyms. But I know guys training at different ends of the city, and they're just super quiet guys you'd never expect it. And I don't see anything wrong with it at all. And I'm like, dude, if they figure it out, and it's sad that I have to say figure it out. If they figure you out and they know what you're doing, you're gonna get in big trouble. It's like, bro, if you're paying them, and if you're paying them, period, like you should be able to do what you want with your personal time. And if that's going to another gym that just happens to be a rival or non-affiliate or some kind of, alternate training resource that you find value in, that maybe you're also paying, or maybe it's just an open mat you want to see what's up at, like, why is that even a topic of conversation? Like, who was the first guy to be like, sensei, can I go train? I don't understand.
We've had actually people ask us, if I'd grown men ask me like, hey, can I go to this seminar? I'm like,
go if you want, man.
No,
go pay, learn it, and bring it back. So I can.
Yeah, pretty much. There's
definitely another side, and I've seen this other side too. Talking to a friend who recently opened up a gym, and especially like there's a big affiliation. Just for Life Team is getting bigger at like smaller spots like Hamilton, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyways, you have guys who may be affiliated at one gym, and this is where I can see it becoming a conflict of maybe some interest somewhere. Affiliated at one gym and going to like 17 other gyms on like a weekly basis, like every single day. And then at that point, like no one's really able to track your growth. Who on earth is gonna have the say in promoting you if they all have to come together for your blue belt? Like that's kind of weird and unfortunate. It's gonna waste a lot of people's time. But on the same coin, like those gyms also deserve to be compensated. I don't think it's, unless like it's like once a week or you have some kind of agreement with them and you've figured it out however you guys have on your own terms. I think the gym also deserves to be compensated for giving you a space to fulfill your passion in. So it goes both ways, and I can see like gym owners getting upset. Like they invested probably a couple tens of thousands of dollars into opening a space, and to have someone just trying to basically take advantage of you since you're affiliated at one gym or another, I guess it could get annoying, especially if they're not, I don't know, like a competitor or something. But then it also gets weird there. Like you have to be a competitor to be allowed to do certain things. I don't know. So
I think that's up to the business owner, though. They need to come up with if you're going to allow somebody else to come into the club, so it's either, okay, it's a mat fee or there's some form of like compensation, right? So that way, okay, fine, you're affiliated with this individual. That's cool. You do all your gradings there. You can come here once a week. It's going to be X, or you got to
I think that was a conversation that the guy ended up having to have with that student.
Yeah, I think those have to happen. And if you're not doing that as a business owner, then that's kind of on you. It is. Right? Because then you can't be upset, be like, oh, this guy's always coming in for classes. I'm like, well, do you own the facility or not? So
yeah, exactly.
Make the guy pay, right? So if he doesn't want to pay, that's cool. He can't come anymore, right?
Exactly,
but that's because there's a service and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't think that a student shouldn't feel, oh, this is bullshit. And the academy owner shouldn't feel like
100% people do. Especially now with like social media growth. Sorry, I just pulled a Briars.
No, it's good.
Yeah. Especially now with like social media growth and people just like figuring that, okay, in 5 years I'm going to be the next Gordon Ryan and I'm the next guy. They think like they're doing a service to a gym by being there. And especially at like a white and blue belt level, it's probably not the case. And then even if it is the case, if you're acting like your chest is puffed out and you're the man just for showing up and like training with a couple dudes, like why the fuck are you acting that way in the first place?
That guy's gonna get smashed at some other clubs, right? Like,
and smash this guy.
Oh well. I mean, hey, Mike's had to smash some people. I've had to smash people in the past. So
dude, I've had some crazy wars with a lot of different people where like you finish a round that got heated, and like let's go again. Yeah, okay, let's go again. And you go again, and
I remember a specific training I went to, and I was training with somebody, and then I had Michael Sheehan like, hey, there's Briars, I'm gonna roll with him. He's like, hey man, you wanna roll? Then we get around, and then after he's just like, he walks away, goes gets water, comes back to, okay, let's do another one.
Did I do that?
Yeah,
yeah, bro. I could be hot-headed at times for sure.
it was fun because I remember like, you're like, oh fuck, this guy's here. Oh, but you had a good mindset. You're like, oh man, this guy's here. This person's here. I want to train.
Like, let me train. Yeah, exactly. I think I keep it fun.
I'm like, oh, he sees Briars, the man, the myth, the legend. How much I suck. He's like, oh, I gotta roll with him and see how see what he does and all this. So
yeah, you want to get that good training in, or even just figure out like a person you've met online or seen through events or something. But yeah, I've had like one guy. I'll shout him out. Kofi. So Kofi's a legend, first of all, and Kofi.
He's a legend.
He's a fucking legend, and he was one of my best training partners back at Gringos. You know, strong as a horse, and the guy just like was a sick training partner for me. Anyways, yeah, I think I was pretty new to Gringos. There was two guys there, him and Andy, and I was training with Kofi, and I was a hot-headed kid. I'll be like straight up honest, like 18, 17, maybe 19 a little bit. I still had some of that hot blood in me, and I was willing to like hash things back and forth with someone if I felt like they were trying to hurt me or be disrespectful. And eventually, like we finished rolling, Kofi and I, and he's like, all right, like let's go again. And I was like fired up. I was like, yeah, let's go again. Fine, let's do it, man. And we rolled again. I think we might have done that like another 1 or 2 times. And then after that, we were gassed, and it was like, cool, like good training, man. I respect you. And we just hashed it out that way. And I think that's fine. Nothing, like no harm, no foul. I was good. He was good. So there you go.
I think one thing I want to add, I think to finish off this evening is I want to ask you, like, what's kind of like your end? Oh, we lost Mike. He's reaching for something. No,
I think my laptop's dying, so I was going to plug it in, but the charger's not here. So
okay, well, I just want to ask you actually one more thing tonight is what's kind of like your end game for jiu-jitsu or just like life in general, like the next 3 years, 5 years? What are your plans?
Okay, so I'm getting into real estate. I'm getting my real estate license right now. I'm building my private clientele. I'm hoping to balance both and still compete for the foreseeable future, at least. And then I plan to try and use the proceeds I make through real estate to open. I don't know if I want to open a gym. Maybe I'll try and open some kind of studio where I can try and keep it as open as possible and not really have a banner for people to fight underneath. And, if you want to come and train, that's amazing. If you want to like teach a private, you'll have a little rental fee. If you want, just like various things at a studio where you can all train and try and make it as as level-headed and like unpolitical as possible. That's what I want to do.
That's very similar to this is another person I want to get on, James Liu. He does that. Like he'll have open mats. I've seen you there, I think, as well. Like he'll have like an open mat, like a strength and conditioning session.
Yeah, dude, this guy, man. He just lessened his BJJ mats. If you get him on here, you got to complain to this guy. He took away his mats, and now it's like not too feasible to train in because he got so much more strength training equipment, but his facility is awesome. But yeah, man, I want to get into real estate and use my work ethic to make some real money. And I'm hoping my stature in the community can help me do that. And then I can use that to feed my passion the way I want to. I don't want to try and wait around and be a BJJ bum until I scrape like whatever it is, like 20 grand to open a shitty little academy and, just try and up it from there. I want to be able to do something really good and not only like a nice facility or whatever, but something helpful for the community and whatever, maybe have some sponsorship programs. I haven't really thought it out too much, but as of right now, I'm just trying to like figure out my financial future, get all that in order, maintain competing as much as possible, fight as much as I can at black belt when that happens. And yeah, that's just about it, I think.
No, that's awesome, man. No, I love it, man. No, I want to thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We always like to leave our guests the last word, just thank any sponsorships or anything like that.
Okay, sweet. So shout out Hyperfly Canada. Michael Fly gets you 15% off all orders over $150. I just posted about the powwow gi. The powwow gi is absolutely astonishing. It's a collaboration with an artist group, and it's an unbelievable gi. And the price kind of reflects that. It's more expensive, but it's a collector's piece. Get it, use a discount, 15% off. Who else we got? We got Float Toronto. They always help me out. Float Toronto's on Queen West. It's like a float therapy. You can visualize in there. You can just get good skin therapy. There's a lot of benefits to the magnesium and the salt water in there. Loose Strength is another one. The guys always help me out using his facilities and helping me achieve those goals. Therapy as well. He's an excellent resource for Your Visa Canada. He's the man if you have a visa need, and he's also the man anyways. Roll Chasers. They were supposed to have an event in November for kind of like what we're talking about, like getting local athletes all together and getting some local competitors some prestige and some, not prestige, but some money to instruct and help the community. So that was going to be great. That's postponed for now. Look out for that. I'm going to forget one or two, but Toronto BJJ, obviously Josh helps me out like a crazy amount with tournaments and competing and getting me where I would like to go and finding a way to support me if he can. And let me see.
msheehanbjj.com.
There we go. Yeah, msheehanbjj.com. I'm going to be posting a blog post this weekend talking about behavioral psychology and BJJ and how you can trick people and stuff like that. It should be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to getting that out there. And if you disagree with me or anything like that, I would love to talk to you about it. Use that to reach me for privates or reach me for privates via Instagram, msheehanjj. And yeah, that's about it, man. Hit me up. I'm here to help.
In the future, we'll do another podcast and then we'll do it in person. Maybe get a private. We'll actually teach Aaron some jiu-jitsu. It would be great.
Let's do it.
Maybe.
This is a sick podcast. You guys are both really cool guys, and I like how it's like pretty open and we can just chat. That's it.
That's it, man. We're just trying to keep it fun, talk about stuff that people don't want to talk about, and then all mostly jiu-jitsu, so it's going to be good. No, I enjoyed the conversation today. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Keep doing your thing, guys. Great job.
Appreciate your time tonight. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, bro.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.